Alright, so before the break, we created the project called Shapes Demo. We created the abstract class called Geometric Figure. So we're just going to do these in order. So next, I'm going to create a rectangle class, and it's going to be very small, like about 10 lines. It'll be a geometric figure, so when we create it, we'll have to say that it extends or it is inherited from geometric figures. So we'll do that in a minute. And all what's going to have in it is that the area is determined by width times height. So what does that mean? Well, going back to here, we're going to right mouse click again on the name of our project. We're again going to choose Add. We're again going to choose New Item. And now we'll put in here Rectangle. Alright, so we created yet another class underneath the project called Rectangle. Again, we're almost done with it. There's literally about 3 lines of code we have to put in here. First thing that we have to do, please look on the screen. You have to say class Rectangle colon geometric figure, because that class, all right, right there. Now I'm getting that error because it needs that area, compute area method. We haven't added it yet. We'll add that in just a minute. All right? So that error that's right there will go away in just a minute. First, we'll have to put in our constructor. And guess what? It's real simple because it's public rectangle. Remember, we're going to have an int for the height. Whoops. Sorry. We're going to have an int for the height and an int for the width. But guess what? We're not handling those. That's going to be handled by the parent. And what else are we doing in there? Not a flaming thing. That's it. Then we have to write public override void override void compute area. The system even knows what we have to override. All right, that's not what we want. We just want to say area equal width times height. I think that's a little W. That's it. That's all there is. That's the entire class. All right. So again, this class inherits from geometric figure. The width and the height are going to be handled by the parent. And there's our overloaded method, which just says the area is the width times the height. That's it. All right. That's everything. Now I can, because I was going to do it, I think I had my comment in here. I don't know if it's saved or not. Yep. That's it. That's everything. So now we've come in, and with what we're supposed to do, we did this, and we did this. All right? So we're about half done. Now, we have to do the square next. But the difference is, if you look up on the screen here, when we just did the rectangle, it was class rectangle colon geometric figure. Now we're going to create a square that's going to say class square colon rectangle, because a square is a type of rectangle. All right? So again, I'm going to right mouse click on here, choose add, choose new item, and this class will be called square.cs. And that'll bring us to here. This is a little longer. All right? Now again, this class square will be inheriting from, all right, rectangle. That's what we need to start. And again, we're getting an error now, but we're going to fix that in just a minute. All right. First, we'll have our no-arg constructor. Remember, that's a constructor with nothing that gets passed into it. Public, square. And actually, neither one of them are really no-arg. Trying to figure out. Oh, if you look up on the screen here, I think they told us a square is a rectangle. Provide a constructor that accepts both the height and width, and it forces them to be equal if they're not, and provide a second one that accepts just one dimension that it uses for both the height and the width. So in other words, two constructors, one with an H and a W, and one with just an H or just a W. All right. Why did the author do that? Not being her, not knowing how or wanting to go into her head, I can't tell you why she did it like that, but she did. All right. All right. I just put that in there so I'm sure I'm not going to miss anything. So this is the full arg constructor, not a no arg. This will be the full arg constructor right here. So public square. That's going to take in both a height and a width. But remember, just like we saw before, the base will handle both the height and the width. And again, what do we want to do here? Nothing. All right. Now it did say if the height and the width weren't the same, that we'll handle that in just a minute. All right. We also had what's called in here the one arg constructor. So we just did this. It accepts both the height and the width. All right. We're going to handle that height and the width in the setter in just a minute. All right. So there's our full arg constructor. We're also going to have a one arg constructor. All right. And what's the difference? Well, this one arg constructor says we're only supposed to have one thing passed in. But we want to make sure that it's the same both ways. All right, so it's going to handle that. Again, we're going to do our getter and setter, and we're done with this. It's a square, which means the height and the width must be the same. That's the definition of a square. All right, with a rectangle, the tops and the side, the tops must be even, and the sides must be even. But it's not necessarily that the tops and the sides are the same thing. All right? So we're going to come in here and we're going to do the height, getter, setter. Then when we get done, we'll do the weight getter, setter. All right? Now, just so you know, if you look up on the screen here, we could have done this. We just set the height equal to value, right? So we can either say width equal value, or we can say width equal height. It's the same thing. So if you feel better doing it that way, then do it that way. Doesn't matter. Should give us the same answer regardless. Bless you. And the width is virtually identical to this. Not quite, but it's almost identical. So again, I'm going to copy everything from the height. I'm going to move down to here, paste that in, and I'm going to say my width. Getter setter. Now remember, if you look up here, it looks a little funky as we talked about, but it's going to look almost the same. So here we're going to say, I put the width first because that was the one we were handling here. So width equal value. All right. And then height equal width. All right. And compute area. Wasn't too painful. All right. So now, if you remember, I showed you this before, but I'm going to put it up again. We have now done geometric figure, and we've done rectangle, and we've done square. That's what's done right now. So what's left is triangle. And it's small. It's a very short class, but we're going to create that right now. So if you would, again, please right mouse click on the name of your project, choose Add, New Item, and this one will be triangle.cs. All right. This is triangle, which again will be inheriting from geometric figure. That's the first thing that we want to do. Then we'll need our constructor. And remember again, these are both going to be handled by the parent. That's it. That's the entire class. And the difference is that when you're doing the area of a rectangle, it's height times width divided by 2, as opposed to what we just looked at, which was height times width. So we have one more thing to do, and that is to go back and fix up our main. We're going to do that. That's probably about 20 lines or so we have to type in. And we're done with this one. My hope is that when we're done and you run this, everyone's works. If it doesn't work, I'll be glad to try to help you with it, or to, show the code up here again or whatever. But it should work when we get done. All right. So I'm going to go back to program.cs, which has got our main in it. All right. And we're going to come in here. We're going to start creating some objects. rectangle. Notice it recognizes the word rectangle. All right. We'll just call it R1 for rectangle 1 equals new rectangle 3, 4. Okay. Now, does everybody understand when you look at this? This should say that the height is 3, the width is 4, and the area is 12. That makes sense? We're going to want to display some statistics where we do a right line. Look up on the screen. Remember, we need using static system.console. All right? All right, now I'm going to say display shape stats, and we'll pass in there R1. Now, we're getting that error because we have not yet written the routine called display shape stats. All right, let's write that now. All right. Now, I'll come right back to it. I'm going to run this. And of course, it's going to print and then go right off the screen because there's no read line in there. Okay. So let me save that, and I think there's an error in it. I think I know what the error is, but that's okay. All right. So notice it says it's a rectangle. It's got a height of 3. It's got a width of 4, but our area is wrong. So I know there is a mistake in the area compute area function for a rectangle. Does that make sense? Because it should be 12. So I'll have to go back and look at that. All right. I put something wrong in there. We'll fix it. I'm not worried about it. All right. But now we've got that one. Let's go and make some more shapes. Now it's got that. So I know something's screwed up with both of those. But the good news is it can tell the difference between a rectangle and a square, right? All right. So that's good. But something else is screwed up. I'll have to take a look at it. Some of the code I gave you was wrong. We'll fix it. I'm not worried about it. All right. Let's come in and change the height, because we're told to go in and make some changes for these. So I'm going to say square 1 dot height equal 20, and then let's display it again. Well, that's good. That one's working. See that, how it changed right there, how it changed both the width and the height so they're the same? So that one's correct. So I know that my square, when I'm actually calling something, is correct. But it looks like the constructor is screwed up for both the square and for the rectangle. So I'll have to look at those. All right. Well, what's the only one that's left? Well, as far as I remember, would be the triangle, right? So I'm going to come in here and fix up the triangle. So we're going to come in here and say triangle T1 equal new triangle. Now, the other ones should have been 12. This one should be 6, unless there's a mistake in this constructor as well. There's the first one, second one, third one. Yep, there's a problem with that one as well. We'll have to fix that one. All right, but it does recognize that it's a triangle. So I'll come in and make one more change in here. And that is, again, we'll come in and we'll say T1 dot height, doesn't matter, whoops. So I'm going to come in here and say T1 dot height equals 20, and then display it again. Oops. All right, so I'm going to save it, run it one more time. There's the first, second, third, fourth, fifth. So notice that one worked. All right, so that one worked, and it all worked, because look, 20 times 4 times 1/2 is 40. So that one works. So the problem I have right now are in all three of my constructors are wrong. Once I fix those, everything should be all right. All right, so I'm going to start by going back and looking at the constructor for rectangle. That was the first one that we did. And let me check my own notes. And I'll tell you what I think the error is if you look up on the screen. All right. Remember, this is H and W. This should be a capital W, and this should be a capital H. Because I think it's using the ones that we created that we have not yet initialized. Did everybody hear what I just said? I think it's using the ones that we had not yet initialized. Now, I'm going to see if what I just did is correct or not. So I'm going to go back, and now I'm going to run this again. Now, either I didn't save it, or that's not the error. There's still a problem with this. So let me check rectangle again.
You put the compute area, like call the function inside the public rectangle?
Yeah, yes, you have to. Are you saying this inside of here?
No, I'm saying like take the compute area, parentheses.
Or put it in here?
Yeah.
It should be calling it anyway. It should be. All right. All right. Well, we'll try it because I've got it and mine worked without it in there, but I'll put it in. That's fine. All right. It did fix that one. And that one's right. That one's right. That one's still wrong. And that one's right. All right. So the fix suggested by Andrew is to call compute area from within here. All right. Okay. Then my guess is we're also going to have to go back into the rectangle, or the triangle rather, and also put it in here. Same place. And if we put that in and run it again, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right, that's right. They are all correct. Except we did that. We did that. Yep, we changed it to 20. Yeah. So that's all correct. So make sure that you go back into into rectangle.cs and put that line of code in there that's in blue that's being pointed to right now, and go into triangle.cs and do the same thing. I mean, it's going to take some time. One of the reasons I wanted you to do this and I wanted us to do it together is I figured I'd screw up. And I figured it's probably going to be the same kind of screw up that you're going to make. All right? Take a look at that again. When we get all done, if you're like, you know what, I thought I did everything you did and mine is still wrong, then raise your hand. All right? Now, if you would all, for a second, please look up on the screen here. This morning, before class started, I sent you all Part A for number 5. It's called Automobile Demo. You all got this morning. Can everybody look on the screen here? All right, so grab that one, copy it to wherever you're copying your files, and unzip it so we can talk about what's in that particular example. Now I've already got it here and I've got it up on the screen already. This is the same one that I gave you. This right here is Automobile Demo. You are going to add to this one, this is Part A. You are going to copy this to Automobile Demo 2 and then add something. Then take that and copy it to Automobile Demo 3 and add a few more things. So really all I'm asking you to do for Chapter 10, other than what we've done as a class, is for you to do number 5B and number 5C. All right? So let's take a look at this from the beginning. You've got a class called Automobile. Okay? And in fact, let me run this first. And you tell me if it makes sense to you, okay? So let me run this. So I run the program, and it comes in, it says, enter an automobile ID number. I'm making this up, okay? So I'll put in 111. Enter the make. We'll say a Dodge Ram. Okay, enter the year, 2015. Enter the price, $30,000. All right, then enter a second one. So we'll call this 100. Enter the make, Buick Encore. The year, 2018. The price, $29,999. I'm just making these up. Enter another one. We'll call this 55. The make, this will be a Ford Expedition. The year will be 2008. The price will be $20,000. And finally, let's see, this will be number 2. The make will be a Mazda RX-7, which was popular when I was your age. All right, enter the year, 1995. Enter the price, $10,000. All right, so you can see what I input, right? Now I hit enter. Notice what it did. It sorted them based on the number that I put in. See that? All right. It also said I borrowed, or this is 10,000. This is 20,000, 29,999, and 30,000. When you add those 4 up, that's what you get. Does that make sense? All right. For the second part of this that we'll talk about in a bit, what you have to do is you have to ask, oh, they want to finance part of it. And you have to ask them how much they want to finance. And if they want, so if you enter a price in there, like $20,000 here, the next line will say enter amount to finance. So if you put $30,000, they're not going to give you that. I want to buy a truck that's $20,000. How much do you want to finance? $30,000. No. So if they put in an amount that's greater than the amount that the vehicle is worth, you just reset it to the worth of the vehicle. Does that make sense? All right, so let's take a look at the code that's in here that makes this work. Now, this thing, remember this? I-comparable? That's what allows us to sort it based on that number that we put in at the beginning. So here is our constructor. I didn't put any comments in here. So we are passing in a number. We are passing in a make. We are passing in a year. We are passing in a price. All right? And if we pass in nothing, we assume the number is 999. We assume the make is ZZZ. We assume that the year is 0 and that the price is 0. Maybe those are stupid, but that's, I think, what they told us to assume. All right? This is pretty simple, isn't it? That's our getter and setter. So we are doing absolutely no validation. Everybody hear that? All right. And then we override the string. And all that does is it just prints everything out. And then we're overriding this equals thing. You may or may not remember, you're probably going to have to go back in and look. All right, you're probably going to have to go back in and look where we put in, or in the book where we talked about equals, and this cache code isn't hard, just returning the ID number. And this is that comparable. This is the thing that is sorting it based on that number. Now, I don't remember if it's this one or the next one, so I'm going to check here. See that? Look up on the screen. It doesn't allow you to put in the same number for 2 different vehicles. All right, so it's asking you to re-enter it. That code that does that, that says it's a duplicate, that code is this equals method that's right here. That is what that is checking to see whether or not you put in the same number or you did not. All right, so backing up now and backing up here to the start, all right, this is what the author had said. For Part A, the part I just gave you, the part we very quickly just went over. Create an application named Automobile Demo that prompts a user for data for 8. I made it 4. That's way too many. So I just cut it from 8 to 4. All right. The automobile class contains auto-implemented ID number, make, year, and price. That was those get sets. That was just get colon, set colon. That's them. Override the toString method to return all of those details. That overridden toString method was nice to bring the right one up. So the overridden toString method is right there. That just said return all the information. That's all it says. All right. The get type that you see right there, that get type, That was the thing that had the name of the class dot. All right. So what you have to do are parts B and C. So you're going to add your own class underneath automobile called financed automobile. So what I'm telling you is so far you've done this. You made a class called automobile. That's what you did in Part A. In Part B, you've got to make a class underneath that that's called financed automobile. Well, that's what you will be adding. All right? So, what's special about that? Well, if you take a look, it contains all the data for an automobile plus the amount financed and the interest rate. Did you hear that? You've got to add those two things. This is very similar to like when we just looked at employee and then hourly. It's the same kind of an idea. All right? So, this is the second one, so I want to run it and show you what changes. So enter an automobile number, 33. Enter a make. Price. Then that's what's new for this one. Enter amount financed. So again, notice if I put in too much, it just resets it. Okay? Then a second one. Again, if I put in the same number, I get that error. All right? I don't know. Third one. And finally, the last one. And then look at the end. It gives you those same statistics. It tells you the total, and it tells you the total financed. So 20, 10, 20, 10, 20, 20, and 35, 30. So 20, 40, 60, 95, that's that. 10, 20, 30, 40, and 30 is 70, that's that. Does all that make sense? And then finally, for the last iteration of this, for Part C, you get to go in and figure out what their monthly payment would be. We're assuming that all loans are for 2 years. All right? So 1/24th of the amount financed. So if you look up on the screen here, run this last one. Notice I purposely put 0 on the end there. 1, 2, 3, 0 to see if it's going to put them in the right order. And you can see it did. All that monthly payment is it's this divided by 24. All right, so that's the only math that you have to do. So again, I want to make sure I say this one more time. we have now done number 6. Your homework for this chapter is number 5 and number 6. We did number 6 as a class. All right? For number 5, we just did part 5A. You are responsible then for completing part 5B and part 5C. All right? And all this stuff, we're having the test next Tuesday. All right? So my hope is by next Wednesday, you'll have all of the end of chapter exercises for 9, for 10, and for 11. Make sense? All right. Questions? The rest of the period is yours.